Good morning, fourth graders. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. And before we get started on our City of Ember book, I just want to tell you guys that I super duper love our Hangouts. I'm so happy to see everybody's face in the mornings. It's really been hard for me not to be at school, and I just want to say thanks for those of you who are hanging out with me. And if you haven't been on for a while, jump on. I'd love to see those that I haven't seen for a little bit. Okay, so the City of Ember, I think we last left off. Lena, had found Lizzie on the sidewalk, and she was calling for her, and she caught up and they started talking, and all of a sudden, Lizzie tripped on her feet. She was carrying 2 brown sacks, and there was something in the sacks, and I think that's where I kept you hanging, didn't I? What was in those sacks? Lena reached for Lizzie's arm. "Did you hurt yourself?" she asked, but Lizzie went scrambling after the cans so quickly it was clear she wasn't hurt. Cans. Wanting to help, Lena went after the cans too. 2 had rolled under a bench. Another was going toward the children, who were on their feet now, watching Lizzie's wild, spider-like motions. Lena picked up the cans under the bench, and for a second her breath stopped. One of the cans said peaches. Peaches? It said right on it. There was a picture of a yellow globe. No one she knew had seen a can of peaches in years. She looked at the other one. It was just as amazing. Creamed corn, it said. Lena remembered having creamed corn one time, as a thrilling treat when she was 5 years old. There was a shout. She looked up, and one of the children had picked up a can. "Look at this," he cried. The other children gathered around him. "Applesauce," he said. The children murmured, "Applesauce? Applesauce?" They'd never heard the word before. Lizzie was on her feet. She had all the cans except for the 2 in Lena's hands and the one the child had picked up. She stood there for a moment, her eyes flickering back and forth from Lena to the children, and then she smiled, a big, fake-looking smile. "Oh, thanks for helping me," she said. "I found those on a back shelf in the market. What a surprise, huh? You can keep those." She waved the back of her hand at the children, waved again at Lena, and then took off, holding the sack by its neck so it hung beside her and banged against her legs. Lena did not follow her. She walked home thinking about Lizzie's sack of cans. You simply did not find cans of peaches and applesauce and creamed corn on the back shelves of a market. Lizzie was lying, and if the cans hadn't come from market, where had they come from? There was only one answer. They had come from the storerooms. Somehow Lizzie had gotten them because she worked in the storeroom office. Had she paid for them? How much? Or had she taken them without paying? Mrs. Murdo had cooked a dinner of beet and bean stew for them that night. When Lena showed her the 2 cans, she gasped in astonishment. "Where did you get these?" she asked. "Well, from a friend," said Lena. "And where did your friend get them?" Lena shrugged. "I'm not sure." Mrs. Murdo frowned slightly but didn't ask any more questions. She opened the cans and they had a feast for dinner. Creamed corn with their stew and peaches for dessert. It was the best meal Lena had had in so long she couldn't remember, but her enjoyment of it was tainted just a bit by the question asking her, in her mind, where had these come from? The next morning, Lena headed for Broad Street. Before she started delivering a message today, she was going to have a talk with Lizzie. She spied her half a block from the storeroom office. She was sauntering along, looking in shop windows. A long green scarf was wound around her neck. Lena ran up swiftly behind her. "Lizzie," she said. Lizzie whirled around. When she saw Lena, she flinched. She didn't say anything, just turned around and kept walking. Lena caught hold of one end of the green scarf and jerked Lizzie to a halt. "Lizzie," she said, "stop!" "What for?" Lizzie said. "I'm on my way to work." She tried to pull away, but she didn't get far because Lena had a firm grip on her scarf. Lena spoke in a low voice because there were people around. A couple of old men leaning against the wall, a group of chattering children just ahead, workers going toward the storerooms, and she didn't want to be overheard. "You have got to tell me where you got those cans," she said. "I told you. I found them on the back shelf at the market. Let go of my scarf." Lizzie tried to wrench her scarf out of Lena's grip, but Lena held on. "No, you didn't," Lena said. "No market would just forget about things like that. You tell me the truth." She gave a yank on the end of the scarf. "Stop it!" Lizzie reached out and grabbed a handful of Lena's hair. Lena yelped and pulled harder on the scarf, and the 2 of them scuffled, snatching at each other's coats and hair. They knocked against a woman who snapped at them angrily, and finally they toppled over, sitting down hard on the pavement. Lena was the first one to laugh. It was so much like what they used to do in fun, chasing each other and screaming with laughter. Now here they were again, nearly grown girls, sitting on a heap in the pavement. After a moment, Lizzie laughed too. "You dope," she said. All right. I'll tell you. I sort of wanted to anyway." Lizzie leaned forward with her elbows on her knees and lowered her voice. "Well, it's this," she said. "There's a storeroom worker named Looper. He's a carrier. Do you know him? He has 2 classes ahead of us. Looper Windley was his name." "I know who he is," said Lena. "I took a message for him on my first day of work. Kind of tall, with a long, skinny neck and big teeth, kind of funny looking." Lizzie looked hurt. "Well, I wouldn't describe him that way. I think he's kind of handsome." Lenny shrugged. "Okay, go on." "Looper explores the storerooms. He goes into every room that isn't locked, and he wants to know the true situation, Lena. He's not like most workers who just plod along doing their jobs and then go home. He wants to find things." "And what has he found?" Lena asked. "Well, he's found out that there's still a little bit left of some rare things. Just a few things in storerooms here and there that have been forgotten. You know, Lena," she said, "there are so many rooms down there. Some of them, way out at the edges, are marked empty in the ledger book, so no one goes there anymore. But Looper found out that they're not all empty." "So he's been taking things?" Lena asked. "Oh, just a few, and not often." "And he's giving some to you?" "Well, yes, because he likes me." Lizzie smiled a little smile and hugged her arms together. I see, Lena thought. "She feels that way about Looper?" "Oh, but Looper's stealing," said Lena. "And Lizzie, he isn't just stealing things for you. He has a store. He steals things and sells them for huge prices." "Oh, he does not," said Lizzie, but she kind of looked worried. "He does. I know because I bought something from him just a few weeks ago. He has a whole box of colored pencils." Lizzie scowled. "Well, he never gave me any colored pencils." "But he shouldn't be giving you anything or selling things. Don't you think everyone should know about this food he found?" "No!" cried Lizzie. "Because listen, if there's only 1 can of peaches left, only 1 person gets to have it, right? So why should everyone know? They'd just end up fighting over it. What good would that be?" Lizzie reached out and put a hand on Lena's knee. "Listen," she said, "I'll ask Looper to find some good stuff for you, too. I know he will if I ask him." Before she had time to think, Lena heard herself saying, "Well, like, what kind of good stuff?" "Oh," Lizzie's eyes gleamed. "There's 2 packages of colored paper," he told me, "and some cough medicine, and there's 3 pairs of girls' shoes." What, Lena thought? It was a treasure. Colored paper, cough medicine to cure sickness, and shoes? She hadn't had new ones for almost 4 years. Lena's heart raced. What Lizzie said was true. If everyone knew there were still a few wonderful things in the storerooms, people would fight each other trying to get them. But what if no one knew? What difference would it make if she had the colored paper or the shoes? She suddenly wanted those things so badly she felt weak. The picture arose in her mind's eye, the shelves at Mrs. Murdo's house stocked with good things, and the 3 of them happier and safer than other people. Lizzie leaned closer and lowered her voice. "Looper even found a can of pineapple. I was going to split it with him, but I'll give you a bite if you promise not to tell." Pineapple? That delectable, long-last thing that her grandmother had told her about once? Was there anything wrong in having just a bite of it, just to see what it tasted like? "I've already tasted peaches, applesauce, and a thing called fruit cocktail," said Lizzie, "and prunes and corn, cranberry sauce, asparagus." "What?" said Lena. "All that?" She was astonished. "There's a lot of special things like that still?" "No," said Lizzie, "not a lot at all. In fact, we've finished those." "Who? You and Looper?" Lizzie nodded, smiling smugly. "Looper says it's all going to be gone soon anyway. Why not live as well as we can right now?" But Lizzie, why should you get all that? Why not other people too?" "Well, because we found it. Because we can get at it." "I don't think it's fair," said Lena. Lizzie spoke as if she were talking to a not very bright child. "But you can have some too. That's what I'm telling you. There are still a few good things left." But that wasn't the unfairness Lena was thinking of. It was that just 2 people were getting things that everyone would have wanted. She couldn't think how it should have been done. You couldn't divide a can of applesauce evenly among all the people in the city. Still, something was wrong with grabbing the good things just because you could. It seemed not only unfair to everyone else, but bad for the person who was doing it somehow. She remembered the hunger she'd felt when Looper showed her the colored pencils. It was not a pleasant feeling. She didn't want to want things like that. She stood up. I don't want anything from Looper. Lizzie just shrugged. Well, fine, she said. But there was a look of dismay on her small, pale face, too. No, too bad for you. Thanks anyway, said Lena, and she set off across Torque Square, walking fast at first and then breaking into a sprint. Chapter 12 is called A Dreadful Discovery. And that's where we'll stop. All right, hopefully we'll see you guys Thursday for Hangouts at 10 o'clock. Of course, in the between time, if you need me in between there, feel free to hang out with me, dojo me. Everybody's got my cell phone. Contact me if you need something. All right, and I'll see you guys at 10 o'clock Hangouts Thursday. All right, bye for now.